It was a hot, sticky afternoon in Atlanta. The sun was blazing down, making the air feel thick and heavy. Officer Mike Turner was walking the streets like he was the boss of everything. He was a big guy, tall, wide shoulders, and a loud voice that boomed when he talked. He liked telling people what to do. Move along, he'd yell, or keep it quiet. Most people didn't argue. They just nodded, looked down, and kept walking. Mike liked that. It made him feel strong, like he was in charge of the whole city. But today wasn't like every other day. Something was different. There was this guy named Jamal Carter. He was just walking down the sidewalk, minding his own business. His hands were in his pockets, and he looked super calm, like nothing in the world could bother him. Jamal wasn't loud or fast. He didn't seem scared or nervous. He was just there. Walking. That's it. To most people, Jamal might have looked like any other guy. He had on a plain shirt and jeans. Nothing fancy. Nothing loud. But to Mike? Oh no. To Mike, Jamal didn't fit. Something about him bugged Mike big time. Maybe it was the way Jamal walked, slow and steady, with his head up, like he wasn't afraid of anything. Too confident, Mike thought. Or maybe it was just the color of Jamal's skin. Mike didn't say that out loud, but you could tell he was thinking it. Either way, he didn't like Jamal. Not one bit. Mike stopped in his tracks and stared at Jamal. His eyes got narrow, like he was trying to figure something out. Then he puffed up his chest, making himself look even bigger, and stomped over. His boots hit the ground hard. Thump, thump, thump. People nearby turned their heads to look, but they didn't say anything. They just watched. Hey, you! Mike shouted. His voice was so loud it bounced off the buildings. Where you headed in such a hurry? Jamal didn't jump or flinch. He didn't even look surprised. He just stopped walking, turned around real slow, and looked at Mike. Then he smiled, a small, polite little smile, like he was trying to be nice. Just walking, officer, he said. His voice was soft and steady. No hurry here. That should have been enough, right? Jamal wasn't doing anything wrong. He wasn't running or yelling or causing trouble. He was just a guy walking down the street on a hot day. But Mike wasn't happy with that answer. Not at all. He crossed his arms and stepped closer, looking Jamal up and down like he was some kind of puzzle. Walking, huh? Mike said, his voice full of doubt. He didn't believe Jamal. Not even a little. To Mike, Jamal looked suspicious. Like he was hiding something. Something big. Mike didn't know what it was, but he was sure Jamal was up to no good. Maybe it was the calm way Jamal stood there, not scared of Mike's loud voice. Maybe it was how Jamal didn't back down or look away. Whatever it was, Mike didn't like it. He didn't trust it. Now, let's stop for a second and think about this. Mike didn't know Jamal. He'd never seen him before. He didn't know Jamal's name or where he lived or what he did every day. All Mike knew was what he saw, a guy walking on the sidewalk. That's it. But in Mike's head, that wasn't enough. He made up a story about Jamal without even asking. He decided Jamal was trouble, just because of how he looked or how he walked. Isn't that wild? Judging someone before you even know them. Jamal stood there, still calm, still smiling that tiny smile. He didn't argue or get mad. He just waited, like he knew something Mike didn't. And guess what? He did know something. Something huge. Something that was about to turn this whole day upside down. But Mike? Poor Mike had no idea. He thought he was the smart one, the tough one. He thought he was in control. Oh boy, was he wrong. See, this wasn't just a normal walk for Jamal. And Mike wasn't just stopping some random guy. This moment, this hot, sticky moment on an Atlanta street was the start of something crazy. Something Mike never saw coming. He was about to step into a giant mess, and there was no way he could walk away from it. Not this time. So here's a question for you, right now, before we keep going. Have you ever had someone judge you before they even knew you? Like, they looked at you and decided who you were without asking? Maybe it was a teacher or a kid at school or even a stranger. What did that feel like? Did it make you mad? Sad? Did you want to prove them wrong? Drop your answer in the comments, I really wanna know. Because this story? It's all about that. It's about what happens when someone thinks they've got you figured out, and then they find out they're totally wrong. Stick around, okay? Don't go anywhere. This story's just getting started, and it's about to heat up fast. Imagine this, a big, loud police officer and a quiet, calm guy on the sidewalk. Sounds simple, right? But it's not. There's a secret waiting, a big, juicy secret that's gonna make your jaw drop. What's Jamal hiding? Why's he so calm? And what's Mike gonna do when he finds out? You'll see soon. Trust me, you don't wanna miss this. Let's keep going. Picture that hot afternoon again. The sun's beating down. Mike's standing there, glaring at Jamal. Jamal's just waiting, cool as can be. People are starting to gather, watching from a little ways away. They're curious, but they're quiet. Nobody knows what's about to happen, not even Mike. He thinks he's got everything under control. He thinks he's the boss. But he's wrong. So wrong. This is where it all begins. This is the moment that sets everything off. A police officer and a guy on the street. A shout. A smile. A secret. And a whole lot of trouble coming Mike's way. Are you ready? Good. Because things are about to get wild. Let's see what happens next. The hot sun kept beating down on that sticky Atlanta afternoon. Officer Mike Turner stood tall, puffing out his chest like a big balloon. He stared at Jamal Carter with mean, squinty eyes. Hands where I can see 'em, he snapped, his voice sharp and loud. You look like trouble. Jamal didn't move fast. He didn't jump or shake. He just raised his hands real slow, keeping them up where Mike could see. That little smile stayed on his face, calm as ever. Trouble, he said, his voice soft and easy. Nah, I'm just heading home. Mike didn't like that answer. Not one bit. He tilted his head and sneered, showing his teeth like an angry dog. Home, huh, he said, his voice dripping with doubt. He took a big step closer, his boots stomping loud on the sidewalk. Let's see some ID. Now. Jamal nodded, still cool and steady. He moved his hand to his pocket super slow, so Mike wouldn't get all jumpy, and pulled out a little black wallet. He opened it carefully and took out his ID card. It was just a small piece of plastic with his name and picture on it. He held it out to Mike, nice and polite. But Mike? He didn't even look at it properly. He snatched the ID from Jamal's hand, gave it a quick peek, and then bam, tossed it right onto the ground. It landed in the dirt by Jamal's feet. Nice try, Mike said, his voice mean and loud. He pointed a finger at Jamal's chest. You think I'm stupid? What's a guy like you doing in this neighborhood? Jamal didn't say anything right away. He just stood there, hands still up, looking down at his ID in the dirt. That tiny smile didn't go away, but if you looked real close, you could see something in his eyes. A little spark. Like a fire starting to burn, but super small, like he was holding it back. He wasn't mad or scared. He was waiting. Waiting for something big. Mike didn't see that spark. Nope. He was too busy acting tough. He crossed his arms and puffed his chest out even more, like he was the king of the street. He thought he had Jamal all figured out. He thought Jamal was just some guy he could boss around. Oh boy, was he wrong. So wrong. People walking by started to slow down. They didn't come too close, but they stopped to look. Some whispered to each other, their voices quiet like little secrets. What's going on? One lady said to her friend. Why's that cop so mad? A kid asked his mom. They didn't know Jamal or Mike, but they could feel something wasn't right. The air felt heavy, like a storm was coming. Mike kept talking, his voice getting louder. You don't belong here, he said, pointing at Jamal again. I know your type. Always up to something. Always hiding stuff. He smirked, thinking he was so smart. He thought Jamal was scared of him. He thought Jamal would back down and say, yes, sir, or sorry, sir. But Jamal didn't. Instead, Jamal bent down real slow and picked up his ID from the ground. He brushed the dirt off it with his fingers, nice and careful. Then he stood back up and looked at Mike. This is my neighborhood, he said, quiet but firm. I live here. Mike laughed. A big, mean laugh. Oh, you live here, he said, acting like it was the funniest thing ever. Sure you do. I bet you're just wandering around, looking for trouble. Well, you found it now. He stepped even closer, so close Jamal could probably feel Mike's hot breath. Mike's face was red, and his eyes were hard. He wanted Jamal to feel small. He wanted Jamal to feel weak. But Jamal? He didn't look small or weak. He stood straight, hands by his sides now, holding his ID tight. That little spark in his eyes got a tiny bit bigger, but he still didn't get mad. He didn't yell back or push Mike away. He just stood there, cool as a breeze, like nothing Mike said could shake him. The people watching started to whisper more. A man with a dog shook his head. That cop's being mean, he muttered. A lady with a shopping bag nodded. That guy's not even doing anything, she said. They could see it. Mike was picking on Jamal for no good reason. But Mike didn't care what they thought. He didn't even notice them. He was too busy staring Jamal down, thinking he was winning. You're not fooling me, Mike said, his voice low and growly now. I've seen guys like you before. Always got something to hide. What is it, huh? What are you up to? He poked Jamal's shoulder with one finger, hard. Tell me, or you're coming with me. Jamal didn't flinch when Mike poked him. He didn't step back or look away. He just tilted his head a little, like he was thinking. Then he said, real soft, you don't need to do this, officer. His voice was so calm it almost sounded nice. Almost like he was trying to help Mike, not fight him. But Mike didn't want help. He didn't want calm. He wanted a fight. He wanted to be right. Oh, I need to do this, he said, smirking again. Guys like you. You don't get to tell me what to do. He grabbed Jamal's arm, his big hand squeezing tight. Let's go. We're taking a little trip. Jamal didn't pull away. He didn't argue. He just let Mike hold his arm, still looking at him with those steady eyes. That spark was still there, hiding behind his calm face. It was like Jamal knew something Mike didn't. Something that was gonna change everything. But Mike? He didn't see it. He didn't have a clue. The crowd got quieter now. They watched as Mike yanked Jamal a little, pulling him toward the street. Some people looked worried. Some looked mad. But nobody stepped in. They just kept watching, waiting to see what would happen next. The air felt even heavier, like something big was about to pop. Mike thought he had the upper hand. He thought he was the tough guy, the one in charge. He thought Jamal was just some nobody he could push around. But he was wrong. Jamal wasn't a nobody. Jamal wasn't scared. And Jamal wasn't gonna let this go the way Mike wanted. Something was coming, something Mike never expected. And it was gonna hit hard. The hot Atlanta afternoon dragged on. Minutes ticked by, slow and sticky, like the air itself was holding its breath. Officer Mike Turner wasn't letting up, not even a little. He grabbed Jamal Carter's arm with his big, strong hand and twisted it hard behind Jamal's back. You're coming with me, he growled, his voice low and rough, like an angry dog. He pulled out a pair of shiny silver handcuffs from his belt and slapped them onto Jamal's wrists. Click, click. The metal snapped shut tight. I don't trust you one bit, Mike said, his eyes hard and mean. Jamal didn't fight back. He didn't yell or push or try to run. He didn't even flinch when the handcuffs clicked on. He just stood there, calm as ever, like the whole thing didn't bother him at all. Then, real quiet, so quiet Mike almost didn't hear, he said, You sure you want to do this, officer? His voice was soft, steady, like he wasn't scared one bit. Mike heard it, though, and it made him mad. Real mad. He threw his head back and laughed a loud, mean laugh that echoed down the street. Oh, I'm sure, he said, still chuckling like it was a big joke. Let's see how smart you are at the station. He gave Jamal a hard shove, pushing him toward his patrol car parked a few steps away. The car was white and blue, with big red lights on top, just waiting to take Jamal away. Jamal stumbled a little from the shove, but he didn't fall. He didn't complain or cry out. He just kept walking, slow and steady, with Mike right behind him, gripping his arm tight. The handcuffs jingled a little as he moved, But Jamal's face stayed the same, cool, calm, with that tiny smile still there. It was like he knew something Mike didn't. Like he wasn't worried at all. The people watching from the sidewalk didn't move. They stood there, eyes wide, whispering to each other. A little boy tugged his mom's hand and asked, "Why's that man in handcuffs?" His mom shushed him, but she didn't look away. An old guy with a cane shook his head and muttered, "That cop's too rough." Everyone could see it, Mike was being tough, and Jamal wasn't doing anything wrong. But nobody said anything loud. They just watched. Then, something happened. Something small, but super important. A big black SUV rolled up slow and quiet, stopping just down the street. It wasn't loud or fast, it just crept along like a shadow. The windows were dark, super tinted, so you couldn't see inside. And there were no license plates on it, nothing to say who it belonged to. It just sat there, parked, like it was waiting. Watching. Mike didn't notice. He was too busy pushing Jamal toward the patrol car. He was too busy talking tough, saying stuff like, "You're in big trouble now, and you should have listened to me." His big voice filled the air, and his boots stomped loud on the ground. He didn't even look at the SUV. Not once. But Jamal? Jamal saw it? Oh yeah, he saw it right away. As Mike shoved him forward, Jamal turned his head just a little, just enough to peek at that black SUV out of the corner of his eye. And for the first time, something changed. That tiny smile on his face? It grew a little wider. Not a lot, just a bit. Like he was happy about something. Like he knew what that SUV meant, and Mike didn't have a clue. What was in that SUV? Who was inside? Why was it there, just sitting and watching? Jamal knew. You could tell by that smile. It wasn't a scared smile or a mad smile. It was a smart smile, like he had a secret, and it was a good one. A big one. But Mike? He kept right on walking, pulling Jamal along, thinking he was the boss. He didn't see the SUV. He didn't see Jamal's smile grow. He didn't see anything but his own big, tough self. The patrol car was close now. Mike opened the back door with a loud creak and pushed Jamal toward it. "Get in," he barked. Jamal bent down slow, sliding into the back seat like it was no big deal. The handcuffs made it tricky, but he didn't fuss. He just sat there, looking out the window right at that black SUV. His eyes locked on it for a second, and that little spark in them got brighter. Something was coming. Something huge. Mike slammed the car door shut, bang, and stood there, hands on his hips, looking proud. "That's right," he said, loud enough for the crowd to hear. "Nobody messes with me." He turned around, smirking at the people watching, like he'd just won a prize. The crowd didn't clap or cheer. They just stared, some with frowns, some with wide eyes. They didn't like Mike much right now, but he didn't care. Inside the car, Jamal sat quiet. He didn't bang on the window or yell. He didn't look mad or sad. He just waited, watching that SUV through the glass. It hadn't moved. It was still there, dark and silent, like a big mystery parked on the street. What was it doing? Why wasn't it leaving? Jamal knew, and that made him different from everyone else. He wasn't scared of Mike or the handcuffs or the patrol car. He was ready. Mike walked around to the driver's side, still talking loud. "Let's see how you like the station," he said, mostly to himself. He thought he had Jamal trapped. He thought he was in charge. He thought this was just another day, another guy he could boss around. But he was wrong. So wrong. The SUV's engine hummed soft and low, almost too quiet to hear. Nobody else noticed, not the crowd, not Mike. But Jamal did. He heard it, and his smile stayed put. Something was about to happen. Something big and wild and crazy. Mike didn't know it yet, but he was walking right into it. Step by step, he was getting closer to a surprise he'd never forget. Can you feel it? That tingly feeling, like when you know something exciting's coming but you don't know what. That's what's happening here. Mike thinks he's winning, but Jamal's got a secret. That black SUV, it's a clue. A big, sneaky clue. What do you think's about to happen? Who's in that car? Why's Jamal so calm? Don't go anywhere, okay? This story's getting good, and it's about to get even better. Stick around, it's gonna get crazy. 10 minutes went by fast. The hot, sticky Atlanta afternoon was behind them now. Officer Mike Turner had dragged Jamal Carter all the way to the police station. His patrol car screeched into the parking lot, and Mike jumped out, feeling big and proud. He yanked Jamal out of the back seat, still holding his arm tight. The handcuffs jingled as Jamal stepped onto the ground, but he didn't say a word. Mike smirked, his lips curling up like he'd just won a giant trophy. He thought he was the smartest guy around. Inside the station, it was busy. Phones were ringing, and officers were walking around with papers and coffee cups. The air smelled like old desks and sweat. Mike pushed Jamal through the door, his boots stomping loud on the tile floor. "Sit down and shut up," he barked, shoving Jamal hard into a scratched-up wooden chair. Jamal sat, hands still locked behind him in those shiny handcuffs. He didn't argue or fight. He just sat there, calm and quiet, like always. A few other officers were nearby, watching. They chuckled when Mike shoved Jamal. "Nice one, Mike," one of them said, grinning. "Got another troublemaker, huh?" another one teased. They egged Mike on, laughing like it was a game. Mike stood tall, hands on his hips, soaking it all up. He loved it. He thought he was the boss, the tough guy who caught the bad guy. His smirk got bigger, showing all his teeth. He was so sure he'd won. But then bam, everything changed. The big station door swung open so hard it slammed against the wall. Everyone jumped a little, even Mike. Two men stormed in, fast and loud. They weren't regular guys. They wore sharp black suits, shiny and neat, like something out of a movie. Their shoes clicked on the floor, click, 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 as they marched straight toward Mike and Jamal. In their hands, they held up shiny gold badges that sparkled under the station lights. "Officer Turner," one of them yelled. His voice was loud and strong, cutting through all the noise. "Step away from that man. Now." He pointed right at Jamal, his face serious and mad. Mike froze. His big smirk disappeared fast, like someone wiped it off with a rag. His eyes got wide, and his mouth opened a little, but no words came out. "What's this about?" he finally stammered, his voice shaky now. He didn't sound tough anymore. He sounded confused, maybe even a little scared. The taller man in the suit stepped forward. He was big, with broad shoulders and a stern face. He held up his badge again, right in Mike's face, so close Mike had to lean back. "CIA," the man said, his voice hard like steel. "That's Agent Jamal Carter." He nodded at Jamal, who was still sitting in the chair, cool as ever. "Undercover. Been tracking a drug ring, you've been too busy harassing people to notice." The room went dead silent. No phones ringing. No officers laughing. Nothing. You could hear a pin drop. Every single person in that station turned to look at Mike, at Jamal, at the men in suits. Mike's face changed fast. First, it turned bright red, like he was embarrassed. Then it went white, like all the color drained out. His hands dropped from his hips, and he took a tiny step back. He didn't know what to say. He didn't know what to do. "Jamal." He just stood up, slow and easy. The handcuffs were still on, but he didn't seem to care. He brushed off his sleeves with his locked hands, like he was wiping away dust. Then he looked at Mike right in the eyes and said, "Told you to think twice." His voice was quiet, but it hit hard. It was the same calm voice he'd used on the street, but now it meant so much more. Boom. Everything flipped upside down. The other officers stopped laughing. Their grins faded, and they stared at Jamal like he'd grown wings. Mike's jaw dropped, his mouth hanging open like a fish. He blinked fast, trying to figure out what just happened. Jamal wasn't some random guy. He wasn't trouble. He was a CIA agent, a secret spy working on something huge. And Mike? Mike had messed it all up. The tall suit guy didn't wait. He walked over to Jamal and pulled out a key. Click, click, the handcuffs popped off and fell to the floor with a clatter. Jamal rubbed his wrists a little, but he didn't look mad. He just nodded at the suit guy, like they were old friends. "Thanks," he said, simple and cool. Mike finally found his voice. "Wait, what?" he said, his words all jumbled. "CIA? Undercover? I didn't know." He waved his hands around, trying to explain, but it didn't help. The suit guy didn't even look at him. He turned to Jamal instead. "You okay, Agent Carter?" he asked. "Yeah," Jamal said, smiling that little smile again. "All good now?" The shorter suit guy glared at Mike. "You almost ruined months of work," he snapped. "Agent Carter's been tracking a big drug ring bad guys moving stuff through the city. And you've been too busy picking on him to notice what's really going on." Mike shrank back. He looked small now, not big and tough anymore. The other officers didn't laugh or tease. They just stood there, quiet, watching Mike get in trouble. One of them even whispered, "Oops," under his breath. Jamal didn't say much more. He didn't need to. He'd warned Mike back on the street, "You sure you want to do this, officer?" But Mike didn't listen. Now, here they were. The truth was out, and it hit like a thunderclap. Jamal wasn't just some guy walking home. He was a hero, a secret agent, doing important stuff. And Mike? He was the one who looked silly now. "Did you see that coming?" "I bet you didn't." One minute, Mike's all proud, thinking he's caught a bad guy. The next minute, wham, Jamal's the real deal, and Mike's the one who messed up. That's a twist, huh? I bet Mike wishes he'd listened when Jamal told him to think twice. Too late now. The station was buzzing again, but not with phones or coffee. Everyone was whispering, staring, trying to figure out what just happened. Jamal stood tall, brushing off his shirt one more time. The men in suits stood by him, like guards. Mike. He just stood there, looking lost. This was the big moment, the big reveal, and it changed everything. Stick around, because it's not over yet. What happens to Mike now? Let's find out. The police station was still buzzing after the big reveal. The two men in sharp black suits moved fast. One of them pulled out a little key and unlocked Jamal's handcuffs. Click, click. The shiny metal fell off his wrists and hit the floor with a clatter. Jamal rubbed his hands where the cuffs had been, but he didn't look mad. He just smiled a little and nodded at the suit guys like they were his best pals. "Thanks, fellas," he said, his voice nice and calm, like always. Then Jamal turned to Officer Mike Turner. Mike was standing there, sweating like crazy. Big drops rolled down his red face, and his tough guy look was gone. He looked scared now, like a kid who got caught doing something bad. Jamal didn't yell or point fingers. He just looked at Mike and said, "Next time, don't judge a book by its cover, huh?" It was simple, but it hit hard. Mike didn't say anything back. He just stared at the floor, his shoulders all slumped. Right then, the door flew open again. The chief of police, a big guy with a loud voice, rushed in. His face was mad, and he started barking orders right away. "Turner, my office. Now," he shouted, pointing at Mike. Everyone turned to look. Mike's little stunt grabbing Jamal and acting all tough had messed things up, but not how he thought. Turns out, Jamal had been working on a secret mission for months, trying to catch some really bad guys who were selling drugs in the city. Mike didn't know it, but when he dragged Jamal to the station, he accidentally helped finish the job. Because Jamal stayed cool, the suits caught the drug ring that very night. Boom, busted. Mike didn't look proud anymore. He slunk away, his head down, like a dog with its tail between its legs. He didn't argue or talk back. He just shuffled off to the chief's office, knowing he was in big trouble. The other officers watched him go. They didn't laugh or tease him now. They were too busy clapping for Jamal. Yeah, you heard that right, clapping. The same guys who chuckled when Mike shoved Jamal into the chair? Now they were giving Jamal a big round of applause. Clap, clap, clap. It filled the room. The guy they'd laughed at, the guy they thought was just some troublemaker, was the real hero. He didn't need to yell or fight. He just stayed calm and smart, and now everyone knew the truth. Jamal stood there, brushing off his shirt, smiling that little smile. He didn't brag or show off. He didn't need to. The clapping said it all. Mike had been wrong, super wrong, and Jamal had been right all along. Karma doesn't mess around, does it? When you do something mean, it comes back to bite you. And when you stay cool and do what's right, good stuff happens. So, that's how it ended. Mike got in trouble, and Jamal got the respect he deserved. The bad guys got caught, And the station learned a big lesson. What a day, huh? Justice was served, and it felt good. And that's the whole story, folks. It's the tale of how one quick, mean decision flipped everything upside down for Officer Mike Turner. He thought he was so smart, so tough, picking on Jamal Carter like that. But wow, did he learn a big lesson one he'll never forget. Jamal walked out of that police station with his head held high, taller than ever. He didn't need to shout or fight to show who he really was. He just stayed calm and proved something super important: you don't know who someone is until you give them a chance. Think about it for a second. Mike saw Jamal walking down the street and decided right away, bam, that Jamal was trouble. He didn't ask questions. He didn't wait to find out the truth. He just looked at Jamal and thought, nope, this guy's no good. But he was so wrong. Jamal wasn't just some random guy. He was a secret agent, a hero, working hard to stop bad guys. Mike judged him fast, and it turned into a giant mistake. If he'd slowed down, if he'd been a little nicer, things could have been so different. That's the big thing here. Judging people before you know them. It's like guessing what's in a present without opening it. You might think it's something boring, but inside, it could be the coolest toy ever. Jamal was like that, a quiet guy with a big surprise inside. He didn't look loud or fancy, but he was strong and smart in his own way. And Mike? He missed it completely because he was too busy being mean. So, here's something for you to think about: next time you're quick to judge someone, stop for a minute. Take a deep breath and think twice. Maybe that kid at school who's super quiet isn't shy, they're just waiting for the right moment to shine. Maybe that person who looks different or acts different has something awesome to share. You don't know until you give them a chance. The quiet ones. They might just surprise you, just like Jamal surprised Mike. This story's got a cool lesson, doesn't it? It's not about being the loudest or the toughest. It's about being fair and giving people a shot. Jamal didn't need to yell or push back. He stayed cool, and in the end, he won. Mike thought he was the big winner, but nope, he ended up looking silly. That's what happens when you're mean for no reason. It comes back around, and the good guys come out on top. What do you think about all this? Did that twist with Jamal being a CIA agent make your jaw drop? I bet it did. It's so fun when a story turns everything upside down like that. Mike never saw it coming, and neither did those other officers. 1 minute, they're laughing at Jamal, and the next, they're clapping for him. That's the kind of stuff that makes a story stick with you. Hey, while you're thinking about it, let me know in the comments, what did you think of that twist? Did you guess Jamal was hiding something big, or were you just as shocked as Mike? And where are you watching from today? Are you at home, chilling on the couch? Maybe at school, sneaking a peek during break? Drop it in the comments, I love hearing from you guys. It's so cool to know where this story's reaching. Oh, and one more thing, if you loved this, hit that subscribe button. I've got more stories like this coming your way, and you don't want to miss them. They're full of twists and surprises that'll keep you hooked, just like this one did. Imagine more tales where the quiet kid turns out to be the hero, or the mean guy gets a big surprise. That's the kind of fun we're gonna have together. This story's all about giving people a chance, and it's a pretty awesome thing to remember. Think about your own life for a sec. Have you ever judged someone too fast? Maybe you thought they were weird or boring, but then they turned out to be super cool? Or maybe someone judged you and didn't see how great you really are. It happens to all of us sometimes. But now, after seeing what happened to Mike and Jamal, you can do things differently. Be the one who waits, who listens, who says, hey, let's see what you've got. Jamal showed us something powerful. He didn't need to be loud or mean to win. He just kept being himself, calm, smart, and strong inside. And when the truth came out, everyone saw it. That's real power, right there. Not pushing people around, but standing tall no matter what. So maybe we can all be a little like Jamal. Stay cool, be kind, and let the truth do the talking. So, yeah, that's it. A wild story with a big lesson wrapped up in it. Mike learned the hard way, but Jamal came out shining. Next time you're out there in school, at the park, wherever, remember this: don't judge too fast. Give people a chance. You might find a hero hiding in the quietest spot. And who knows? Maybe you'll be the one to surprise everyone someday. See you next time, story fans. Keep being awesome, and I'll be back with more fun tales to share. What did you think? Tell me below, I can't wait to read it. Bye for now.